Welcome to Education Today. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Alexa of the Armstrong High School in the Armstrong School District. You know those magical sounds you hear coming from each of our schools a few times a year? You know the ones I'm talking about. The Christmas music, end of the year concerts, and district band festivals. All of those students had to start somewhere, right?
A few weeks back, we spoke with Mr. Jason Krakota, who outlined some of the curriculum and new software programs that the primary level students are utilizing in their classrooms. Well, today we are going to take a look into our primary music programs themselves, what they offer, and how your students can become involved. Today we brought in Mr. Robert Scumai, the instrumental music instructor at Lenape Elementary.
Welcome to Education Today. Please tell us briefly about yourself and your role with the district and how long you've been working with the district.
I've been with the Armstrong School District for 36 years. I spent my first year in my hometown of Shannock, Rural Valley, and I taught anywhere from beginning instrumental up to 7th and 8th grade music. The following year, I spent 1 year at Katanning High School teaching 9 through 12. Since that time, I've been the rest of my 34 years at Lenape Elementary in Ford City. In 1993 and in 1996, our band was chosen out of the state of Pennsylvania to play at the music convention. In 1999 and in 2001, our little band was chosen out of 13 states to perform in New York City and in Pittsburgh for a national type of a music convention.
How do students become involved in the music program? Are they basically recruited, shown demonstrations, or something of that nature?
Well, we kind of start in 3rd grade when Mr. Krakota shows the family of instruments. And then in 4th grade, at the beginning of the year, all students in 4th grade are giving a music test to measure their musical aptitude. After the test, students are allowed to come to the room and try out the various instruments. It's strictly voluntary. It's not mandatory that students participate in band.
How early can a student begin to play, and at what time of year do they begin?
We begin in 4th grade right around the end of September. One of the goals I have as an educator is to get the 5th and 6th grade band up and running. Students move in from other schools, and it's important to develop instrumentation. So I spend most of my time early in the fall getting the 5th and 6th graders organized with their books, and that is kicked off. Then the beginners are given a test. Everybody in 4th grade takes the test so we can compare their results and find out if they have musical aptitude in the area of tonal development as well as rhythmic development.
When you first begin with new students, what kind of goals do you set for them, whether week to week, month to month, or yearly?
Well, first off, we start by singing some songs that later on they will learn to play. But the early goals are proper assembly of the instrument. I've got in front of me a complicated instrument called the flute. So we identify the parts, and this is the head joint, the main body, and the foot joint. So when students assemble their instrument, we try to teach them to hold it where there are not too many keys and to assemble it in the correct manner. Now, if you look at the flute, there are approximately 21 different keys, and of course we only have 10 fingers. So when the students they don't put their instrument together, we talk about how to open the case that the name points up and how to assemble it properly. And I actually demonstrate for the students where their hands go. And then they pick up what we call their pretend instrument. And they know on a clarinet that the hand will go at the bottom, the left hand is at the top, the right hand is at the bottom. And I'll tell them little easy things like, I'll tell them this is the E flat, the pinky goes on the E flat key. And there are a lot of keys to manipulate, so we just try to make it as simple and easy as possible. The flute players learn a thing, that their thumb goes on the big key in the back, it rests against their first finger, and then we simply say skip, down, down. So the kids hold up their pretend flute and they say skip, down, down. And I'll show them With our fingers, we skip the first key and we push this key down, skip the next key, and the fingers are placed. So I merely have them hold the instrument, whether it's a flute, a clarinet, trombone, trumpet, saxophone, or percussion. They have to learn how their hands are positioned even before they hold the instrument. So the first objective is to get their fingers attached to the instrument.
I'm sure, as in anything, that different students learn at different speeds. When they are in groups, what challenges are met when trying to keep everyone on schedule?
Well, definitely everybody learns differently. My mode of operation at the beginning level is when I can get 80% of the students on track. So if I can get 4 out of 5 students moving their fingers properly, playing the first note, playing 2 notes, whatever the goal is for that particular day, if I can get 80% on track, the 20% that are struggling usually catch up by watching their friends. The students not only learn from the instructor, but I feel that students learn from each other.
How often does each group of students meet, and how do you work it into their schedules?
We operate on a rotating basis. The students at our school will have a lesson perhaps on Wednesday at 8:50 in the morning. Then the following week, they will have their lesson at 9:30. At 10:10 is when they have their special class. So they are missing either art, music, phys ed, perhaps library. And then I even pull the kids in 4th grade at 1:10 from their recess. So they miss their recess approximately once every 6 weeks. So when you add that all up, about 60%, 2/3 of their lessons, they're missing an academic class such as math, reading, science. And they are also missing about 1/3 of the time spent for lessons. They're missing a non-academic class. We try to spread it out so that students are able to achieve success, not only in their academics, but also their music.
Do students have the possibility of one-on-one instructional time as well?
Yes, yesterday 2 5th graders came down at recess. It was their recess, 5th grade, and they asked for extra help on their band music, and I just kind of adjusted my lunch a little bit, and I was happy to help them. So it's on a come as needed availability. It depends on my availability, because sometimes at lunch my schedule calls for me to be watching the kindergarten kids, or breakfast duty, lunch duty, other things are involved.
Beginners, in many cases, have never even held an instrument before. What challenges do these students sometimes run into? Does it become a little overwhelming for them?
Absolutely. That's why we wait until 4th grade, because the instruments that they are playing are not toys instrument. When you learn to ride a bicycle, you learn on a tricycle, and it's easy to balance. But kids are actually holding an adult trumpet, an adult trombone, an adult clarinet. So there's an extensive amount of learning that has to go into it. Assembling a trumpet is very easy. You put the mouthpiece, but assembling a clarinet is difficult. So I have the children pick up their pretend clarinet, hold the bell in your right hand, and then we make it as simple as possible. The next section that goes on only has 1 cork. So I'll teach them how to grease their cork and put the grease on. Then they simply hold it in their left hand where there are not too many keys. The motion that we teach the students are not to shove and push it together, because it could damage the cork. But you simply twist, turn as you push. When you put the next section together, it's so important that it lines up with the bridge key. So I tell the students, hold your pretend clarinet in your right hand. Let's pick up the upper joint. It's the one that has the name on it. And again, if you hold it in your left hand, you can see that I'm not crunching the keys. It's a very delicate instrument, and they have to push this bridge key down. So we say, put your fingers over the 3 holes, line the holes up, and after they have it greased, which takes a lot of time for beginners to grease a clarinet, and then they have to line this up and put it perfectly straight. Then we do executive skills, where they put the instrument right here and they wiggle their fingers. Left hand is on top. They already know this from lesson 1, holding their pretend clarinet. Then we actually put it together. We're not making sounds yet, but they're doing this. They're wiggling their fingers. They're knowing where their keys go. The little fingers have to operate 4 different keys. The holes have to be covered completely, otherwise it'll squeak. So they learn to manipulate their fingers. And then we put on what we call the mouthpiece. Forming the embouchure is one of the early goals, whether it's flute, whether it's trumpet, clarinet, saxophone, or percussion. I want my percussionists, it's important when they get to high school that they know how to hold the mallets, how to hold the sticks. So the easiest way to form the lips on a clarinet or a saxophone is I tell the students, pretend you're putting on chapstick, and they cover their bottom lip. So they stand in front, I'll say, take your finger, and I try to make it simple. I boil sophisticated stuff down to simple, memorable things. I tell them, curl, in, click, and blow. I tell them, take your finger like this, make sure your finger's clean. You want to curl the bottom lip so that there's a cushion between. Then I'll say, do it wrong, touch your teeth, okay? And if you click, they're not going to get a very good sound. And we laugh and joke about it, but I tell them to pretend they're putting on chapstick, stretch it, and then you put it, we practice just without the instrument. In, click, and they naturally know they're not going to play. Whenever it takes a long time to get the reed positioned perfectly. It has to be on perfectly. A lot of kids it'll be too high, they'll put the ligature, so we identify the parts, we talk about cleaning it, we talk about taking very good care. They put the reed on, and then they put it in their mouth, click, and all we do for the first couple days is make a squeak, on the mouthpiece. What we do on the flute is simply go through, cover the end, because that's where the easier vibration is. They curl it. The next step is to produce a sound like that. On the trumpets and the trombones, we try to get them positioned on their face. And the next important step, which is very important, is to articulate. So we always start with the tip of our tongue, and we give the kids 2 styles of articulation. One is connected, and the other one is separated. The one is connected would be like this. The students simply say, repeat after me. Do, 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 do. They do that. Now listen to this. That's called connected. Now say this one. With the tip of your tongue, say toot, 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 toot. Listen to the air. Can you do that? Yes. Cup the end. Can you do this? So they learn how to articulate right off the bat. And believe, some kids pick up right away. Some kids, it sticks in their memory banks. And I've got 4th graders. A difficult part of my year is Christmas. Because they're so excited, they don't care about their instruments so much, and they might go a week and a half without practicing, and they come back and they probably forgot to hold their hands the right way, or maybe they forgot articulating the proper way. So we have to just back up, review, and reinforce general concepts.
How do you combat the feeling of being overwhelmed to prevent students from becoming discouraged and eventually quit?
That's always difficult. Some students pick up very, very quickly an instrument. I try to be patient, and I use 80%. If I can get 80% of the kids on that learning target for that lesson, I'll usually move on. And if we've got a few stragglers, they'll pick up. I try to encourage as much as possible, and there's a certain sequence to the learning of any instrument, and I'll go back, maybe kids that cannot play the note right. We start with one note. Oops. Then we go to 2 notes, and 3 and 4. But if a child has trouble, I try to give them individual help that day. And I tell them to go home and please reinforce this by practicing 15 minutes every day, and you can tell pretty easily if skills are developed.
I don't want to ignore the more experienced students here because they are constantly learning too. Are there different challenges that you face with them or different techniques that you apply so that they can continue to grow as well?
Absolutely. With the beginners, it's a spiral. We give them simple rhythms, simple things to play. As they get older, they get more advanced rhythms. We're doing some songs for the spring concert that involve syncopation. We're doing some songs for the spring concert that require more sophisticated rhythms than quarter notes and eighth notes. They're playing on the and of the beat and there's syncopation. So what I do is develop a listening vocabulary, if you will to speak, of rhythmic patterns. Maybe a student in 4th grade is not going to play 16th notes right away, but eventually they hear these patterns and they simply imitate them. And one of the easy ways to get children to use their articulation, if they're not articulating by January, February, if by not articulating is just simply blowing the air like as if saying who. You can hear that difference compared to. And when we do 16th notes, which we did with our 4th graders last week, we simply had imitation, repeat after me. Ba 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 ba. And they would say that pattern. And then we said a little thing that their tongue is getting exercised, do to day to do to day to do day. Then we put it on the first note that they played. If they can play it something like that, they're hitting the target. If they're not articulating, you can hear the difference. It's pretty lame, and they hear it immediately.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention about the music program at this point?
Yes, I believe that people learn two different styles. We have discriminatory learning, where the teacher feeds information, and we have inference learning, where the student or the learner figures things out on their own. To demonstrate that, like we drill, I try to teach in tandems also. Like certain songs are in major, certain songs are in minor. So a major tonality would be like. And if we had that same melody in minor tonality, it would have a whole different feel. So I'll tell them, did that sound the same or did that sound different? So why did it sound different? And the students learn eventually to identify that by putting labels on it to say, I could hear the resting tone was in minor. And we kind of coordinate minor tonality with the season of Halloween. By October, the end of October, I say, pretend you're putting on your scary costumes. Does it sound happy or sad? And we try to incorporate advanced concepts and make it accessible for young learners.
Okay, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will be talking more with Mr. Scumai about the primary music program. We'll be right back with Education Today.
All your professors, all of them, they know that all it takes is one dreamer with passion, one person, and they hope in each of you that you might be that one who makes a longer lasting light bulb, who writes music for the ages, who reaches into the mind and discovers a new star, and who can change the world of a 5th grader. We're gathered here to hope in you.
The brain is a remarkable organ. It's almost infinite in its capacity. Its ability to reach its full potential is limited by only one thing: the heart. For if the heart isn't fully engaged in what you're doing, if you have no drive, no passion, the brain will simply go through the motions. Find your success at Indiana University of Pennsylvania.